Input controls can be used to apply page-level filters that affect some or all of the objects on the page. Here, an input control lets us choose the office locations displayed. Note that all the charts have updated to reflect the new selection. In Edit mode, we can modify several settings for the input control. From here, we can convert the input control to a story filter, copy it to other pages, or delete it. We can also turn on or off the cascading effect of the hierarchy, show or hide specific elements of the input control, open the Controls panel, or open Styling mode in the Designer panel. When we edit the input control, we can edit the default selection, show empty values, choose to exclude rather than include the selected members, control whether users can edit or delete the filter, and modify how they can interact with the input control. We can also change the input control configuration. By default, an input control applies to all objects on the page that are based on the same data source or a linked data source. We can change that behavior by designating which objects we want to be associated with the input control. Now, when we change the selection, only the designated charts are impacted. Note that we can add multiple input controls to a single page. When we add the input control, we need to select which data source and dimension or measure we want to filter on. Note that the dimension or measure doesn't need to be displayed in the objects on the page. However, if the dimension or measure comes from a different dataset, the datasets must be linked for the input control to affect charts not based on that source. For more details, refer to the video on linking models based on shared dimensions. In this example, we'll filter on gender. When we clear the selection of one of the members, the new selection works with the original input control to change the results of all the objects. We can also add more than one input control for the same dimension or measure and use the input control configuration to map each control to a different set of objects. Note that for dimensions that have attributes, we can select either the dimension itself or one of the attributes. For hierarchical dimensions, we can drill down to see lower levels. We'll set up the input control to interact with the objects excluded from the first office location's input control. Now we can apply a different selection to the second input control. Note the different member selection for each group of charts. Because the input control configuration is not transparent to end users, it's the responsibility of the story creator to use formatting or text to make it clear which input control applies to which objects. To see the filter on which the input control is based, we can open the Controls panel either from the toolbar or from the context menu. Thanks for watching.